A health savings account, also called an HSA, is one of the most powerful tools in personal finance, not just for paying medical bills, but also for long-term planning and even HSA investing. So if you've been wanting to open one up for your health plan, you can actually do this in Fidelity, so your whole financial plan can be in one place. In this video, you'll see how to confirm that you qualify for an HSA, how to open one up in Fidelity, how to choose between a do-it-yourself investing or having Fidelity invest for you, how to fund the account so you can begin, and how to use your HSA the right way, including HSA reimbursements, the HSA debit card, and the simple receipt rules that keeps everything really clean. But before we jump in, I have to give a quick disclaimer. This is general education, not tax advice or individualized investment advice. So always confirm your plan rules and the IRS rules for your particular situation. So let's open one up together. Now, before clicking anything, eligibility comes first. The IRS lays it out clearly. To contribute to an HSA, you generally must be covered by a high deductible health plan, have no other health coverage except what's permitted, not be enrolled in Medicare, and not be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. Now, here's the big one that trips people up. If you have a regular general purpose FSA or an HRA that pays or reimburses your medical expenses, you usually cannot contribute to an HSA at the same time, unless it's structured as like an allowed type with a limited purpose version. So check with your provider or financial planner to verify. Now, once eligibility is confirmed, opening the account is really easy. Now, before contributing to the account, it helps to know the maximum that we can put in there. For 2026, the IRS published limits include $4,400 for self-only and $8,750 for family. And if you're 55 and older, there's typically a $1,000 catch-up contribution allowed. And also for 2026, the IRS describes a high deductible health plan using thresholds like minimum deductibles and max out-of-pocket limits. So you can check their website first if you're worried about eligibility. So there are two common setups. Path A, your employer offers an HSA through Fidelity. It is offered as a workplace benefit. You typically activate it and manage it through net benefits. Fidelity points people there for the employer HSAs. And then you have Path B. Your employer doesn't offer it, so you open up one yourself. And good news is that Fidelity explicitly says that you could still open an HSA and contribute as long as you're enrolled in an HSA eligible plan. So this video will show this path. Now let's actually set one up inside of Fidelity. So first we're going to go to fidelity.com and we're going to go under products here at the top center of the screen and drop down. You'll see health savings accounts. We're going to click there. So this is the health savings account main page in Fidelity. There is a ton of information that you can read through, like is not a use it or lose it, unlike in FSA. There is no account fees or minimums, and it is triple tax advantaged, such as it's tax deductible going in, the growth in earnings are tax free, and then the withdrawals on qualified medical expenses later also come out tax free. So triple tax advantage is one of the few counts that actually gets this much benefit. And as you scroll down, it goes through individuals, employers, brokers, consultants. This is your employer offers the Fidelity HSA that we were talking about through the net benefits. And then my employer doesn't offer the Fidelity HSA, so we can open one up here. It kind of tells you a brief description of how it works. You contribute, you can spend through Fidelity with either bill pay or the HSA debit card. You can also invest. This is how you get maximum growth. And then you can transfer if you have another provider or anything like that. So you can just scroll down here. It does say this cash rate of 3.52%. The money market fund that is usually used for these is something called SPACs. I use it very often in a brokerage account. It's not really paying 3.52% right now. I think it's 3.31. So just notice that this changes. This is just for marketing purposes. It is close and does pay more than others, but it's not always guaranteed at the rate that they're going to tell you here. So we're going to go back up and click open an HSA. So on the left is that workplace through net benefits. On the right-hand side, you'll see Fidelity Go HSA. This is where if you want them to do all the investing, you see that there is no fee for any funds under $25,000. That's a pretty big benefit. And then anything over, there's only 0.350 advisory fee with a limited one-on-one coaching, this is actually really strong. If you want kind of a done-for-you service, Fidelity is really good at this. I highly recommend if you want to be a little bit hands-on, at least, to go with the Fidelity HSA, because a lot of the funds and the investment options that you can use are very similar to other accounts like your brokerage account or your Roth IRA. So you could still invest in much of the same, like say index funds that are kind of set it and forget it, and just, have some set aside in cash in case you have a high deductible that you need to pay for or that you're worried about, and then invest the rest. So we're going to go ahead and click this option, open an HSA. So it brings you to this screen. Are you already a Fidelity customer? Yes or no? So we are. So we're going to click yes. And then it's going to ask us to log in. Okay, so then it brings you to this screen. Open a health savings account. You're eligible if you're already enrolled in an HSA eligible health plan. On the first day of the month, you're enrolled in a spouse's HSA eligible health plan, and you have a social security number and a valid U.S. address. You're not eligible if you're enrolled in a health plan that is not HSA eligible. You're enrolled in Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, or a children's health insurance program. You receive benefits from the VA in the past 3 months, or someone else can claim you as a dependent on their tax return. And then if you have any transferring funds from another HSA into this one, they do have rollover. So just go ahead and check that option. But we're going to click next. Okay, so this says take a moment to review and confirm all your information. So we'll go through that and then click open an account at the bottom. Okay, so once you click open an account on the previous page, it brings you to this one where it's going to give you your account number. Once we click next, this is where we're actually going to link the bank accounts where we're pulling the funds from. So let's go ahead and click next. Okay, once you have linked your bank accounts that you're going to be pulling the funds from, it'll bring you back to the main page of Fidelity where you'll see, like say, an individual brokerage account. I have my traditional Roth IRAs. I have the 529 plan from the other 529 video we just did, and then the health savings accounts here on the bottom. So once we click here, you'll see a summary, positions, or anything where if you wanted to invest or hold it in, say, SPACs, the money market fund, which is usually the cash option. It's fairly liquid. Usually when you spend your debit card, it pulls out of SPACs kind of same day. It's pretty much similar to a checking account, but it also gains a good percentage of interest. Right now, it's about 3.31%. So this is where you'll see every position that you have while you're investing in your HSA. You'll have activity and orders if you do place buying or selling within the past 30 days in different options. You also have your orders history, any transfers. And notice if you ever want to pull any reports or if you have to give this to your financial planner, you can actually print this out or download it into a CSV file. So just know that there's a lot here that you can do. You can have balances that if you were to fund the account, it'll show up here, any tax documents, planning, and then you have more over here for performance analysis where you can manage your cash and then more tax info. So yeah, you can really manage a lot about your health savings account here. You can make recurring contributions over here on the right-hand side. If you wanted to say, I want to put in $50 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month, you have that ability to set up a recurring contribution to pull from the bank account that you linked into the HSA account. You can make a withdrawal, you can transfer outside assets. So this is like a rollover HSA into the current, and then you can manage your healthcare receipts. I personally use Google Drive for all my receipt carrying. So anything that I spend and I want to keep track of, I just keep it right in a Google Drive where I have set up into two specific folders where I usually have a to be reimbursed folder or a already reimbursed folder. So that way, when you put your receipts into a to be reimbursed or a already reimbursed folders, once you've already paid yourself, if for some odd reason you needed to reimburse yourself for say a large expense, you can take those receipts, put them into an already reimbursed folder so you don't do it a second time and run the risk of, getting fined in an audit down the road. So that's something I personally use in a Google Drive folder, but you could do it here. And then it shows you your contribution limits. One thing I love about Fidelity is they do help you keep track, or if you have a family unit of 8,550, it'll tell you what's left over, and then an individual limit of 4,300 for 2025. And then you'll see for 2026, 8,750 for family, 4,400 for single. And then you can see any employer contributions and such if that is part of your plan. So really cool. You can see balance, view funds here. You can even start your transfer right away. Really love this HSA through Fidelity. It's really easy and simple to use. So one thing I do want to show you is with an HSA, you do have different investment options that aren't just limited to, like say, the normal Fidelity options of the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or any indice that follows an index. So when you follow here to say this, so in this web page here, you can actually scroll down and have this really neat graph where you can see your investing comparison tool. If you were to put in, say, $200 a month or $2,400 a year, over the course of 30 years, you would put in $72,000 of your own money, but being that you're investing, it would average out to around $243,000. Of course, that's based on your investments, how much you keep in cash, but it's really kind of neat because you can even see, man, if I really wanted this, say in my family, I know we tend to have health issues later on in life. So I'd want to put more into this account than just 200 or 300. So say you want to go to $350 per month here. Over the course of 30 years, you would put in $126,000, but your investing account will show $426,900 on average. Like I said, it'll based on all your investments and how much you keep in cash, but you could see the gross based on exactly how much you put in each month. So it's just really neat to be able to toggle and play. As you come down, you can see the Fidelity Go HSA option and then the Fidelity HSA option. So if we were to click this Fidelity HSA funds, it'll take us to a few of the funds that they've recommended. So say fixed income, they'll give you some bonds, some money market, trade taxable. This is the SPACs money market fund I was telling you about. 5-year performance is 3.03. The last few years have been really good for this one. Right now it's sitting around 3.31%. So it is really decent to have. Then you have another bond index. You do have a Fidelity 500 index fund. This is their normal FXAIX that tracks the S&P 500. They do have, say, mid cap for medium-sized businesses, small cap for small businesses. So you can actually look and trade with a whole bunch of different options here in your HSA. If you wanted to hold a little bit of international, which seem to be doing really well right now. And then they have some specialty and inflation protection funds. And then your target date. So if you plan on, being 65 and needing these funds, you could set these target date funds. That make it kind of easy. And as you get closer to that age, they are already reallocating assets within the fund. So you don't have to do it at all or worry about any risk to it as we get closer to 65. So really cool. I don't see a lot of people covering it. So I just wanted to show you that this page is out here. Feel free to play around with it, see which funds that you would like to be able to invest in. If this seems to be very advanced and it kind of worries you, you can always go the Fidelity Go option and let Fidelity handle it. That is an option. So just know that there is kind of a hands-off option that in case you don't want to move it, you don't have to. Now, when it comes to funding your account, I highly recommend that you set a cash buffer and turn on HSA investing. Now, this is the most important part that people usually forget. A practical way to think about your HSA is in 2 buckets. There's near-term medical spending, then there's long-term investing. If you expect medical expenses soon, keeping some cash available can make perfect sense. I usually recommend your largest health deductible be held as cash or a cash equivalent like Fidelity Money Market Fund SPACs, or if you know braces are coming down the line, put that number aside. And if you're using the HSA as a long-term tool, investing makes more sense. And Fidelity explains that you can invest your HSA either through the do-it-yourself investing or the Fidelity Go, letting them manage it for you. And notes that there's no minimum to opening an account for the self-directed HSA and no minimum balance required to start investing. So just know that certain mutual funds do have like minimum invest in those funds. Just know that going ahead. Now, for the part that saves people from stress later, Fidelity shows multiple spending options, including using an HSA debit card for qualified expenses, using bill pay, or reimbursing yourself after paying out of pocket. Now, the power move, you reimburse yourself way later. This is one of the biggest features right now. With an HSA, you could pay qualified medical expenses out of pocket and then reimburse yourself later in the future. Fidelity's reimbursement guide emphasizes there's no real time limit to request reimbursement. The key is you have to keep the receipts. Like we said in the 2 folders, you want a to be reimbursed and an already reimbursed folder. Fidelity also summarizes the basic conditions for reimbursement, such as the HSA had to be open when the expense occurred and you weren't reimbursed another way, and you didn't claim that the expense as an itemized deduction. So just note, Representative Lloyd Doggett from Texas has introduced the Health Savings Account Consumer Protection Act. I know, it's a mouthful. This aims at closing this loophole to reducing the time that we can claim reimbursements to just 2 years after the expense. Just know this feature may be ending in the future. A lot of people will talk about how it is so powerful, and it is, but it's always changing. Everything is always changing. So using this and saying, oh yeah, we want these reimbursements after the money has grown and been invested for years and years. If this bill passes, that's closed. So you'd want to take the reimbursements sooner than later. And that's exactly how to set up an HSA in Fidelity. Now, HSAs are just one part of your total financial plan. So if you've been wanting to open a brokerage account, you can check this video out next, and I'll see you there.